oftentimes I'll ask questions and it'll come back with, did you mean 1, 2, or 3? And then I'll click on the one that is the correct one. Or I'll tell
Oh,
it
you're
this.
lucky. It's never one of those three that I'm calling that.
Right. So you play this game of like, am I asking the chatbot in the correct way? And so that's part of it is when someone goes to use Amazon's system, they're gonna have to learn how to use it correctly, because even if you upload a document that gets parsed into rules, you still need to understand like, okay, what are the bad cases you need to account for? Now, if you ask a business or salesperson what those are, they're probably not going to think of it immediately. So this is someone that has to have gone through years of training to, okay, for sales of this kind of thing, these are the kinds of things we have to look out for.
Welcome to Practical AI, everybody. My name's Jeff. I'm here with Peter Lynn. This is season 2 of Practical AI, and we are sponsored by Pocket AI. Pocket AI is a tool that you can use to edit the weights of your model. With Pocket AI, you can prune over 60% of the weights of your models and increase accuracy. Also, you can find us on Spotify if you prefer to get away from YouTube. Peter, we had an article that got popped in our blog from AWS. They have their big expo conference over the last 7 to 10 days or something.
Yep.
A lot of stuff has been coming out of there, but one of the things, and I'll pull it up, is this automated reasoning check safeguard that they're bragging about, and it seems like they think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Give us a little bit of what you think the background is on this, and what
Yeah.
what are they claiming?
So going back as far as the 80s and 90s, people have been using rules to kind of validate and check that your business process is correct, right? Because you don't want customers to do bad things. And the example is when someone tried to convince was it Ford or Chevy's chatbot to sell them a new car for $5, right? So you don't want your chatbot to do things that will cause you financial harm. And so this is a class of software called business process automation. But usually when you do that, you need to have rules that validate, are these things valid? Are these actions valid? Are the responses my system giving to the customer valid? And more importantly, am I going to lose money if it does the wrong thing?
Yeah, or cause harm or something.
Yep.
So what AWS has done is, if I understand correctly, they've used an outdated technology platform, rule engines, to sharpen or protect the potential downsides of the output of a chatbot. Is that fair?
Yeah. So basically, they took a language model and they trained it to produce rules. So basically, in the old days, you hire someone like myself or someone that does rules and inference rule work or business rules. They would, one, gather the requirements, meet with the business users, meet with the programmers, understand the business requirements, understand the software, write a spec that says, okay, the system has to do these kinds of things, has to prevent these kinds of actions. And then they would go through and actually implement it. And that would take anywhere from 6 months to 16 months. So this was it's a delicate process and it takes time. And so AWS claims that by using LLMs, you can bypass all of that and just upload documents. It'll parse your documents and produce rules. And then those rules are used in the automated reasoning checks to make sure that your system is correct.
Is this revolutionary? Is it an advancement?
It's definitely an advancement. It's not revolutionary, in the sense that this is an old technique. Now the question is, are they using the open source rule engine, or did they write a new one, or is it some other kind of a business rule process engine underneath? I'm gonna guess they probably went with something new, because traditionally, if you look at rule platforms like iLog JRules or IBM JRules or Verizon Blaze or any of the kind of mature business rules products, they're all very complicated and a lot of different features. So although you could use an existing piece of software off the shelf, they probably didn't go that route because that's probably too complicated. It's not like you can take English and then produce something that will magically work in an existing tool. So they probably wrote a new rule language that's simplified, and then a new rule engine that then uses it.
And then back in the day when rule engines were kind of all the rage, could you have written a chatbot or something similar to a chatbot? How close could you have gotten to what we're doing today?
So that's actually what's a common thing in the business world was having either a natural language, what's called natural language interface, but it was very restricted, right? Like when you were typing, it would actually help you auto-complete it so that it fit in the syntax that it expected. Whereas with LLMs, you can type whatever you want. Now, so obviously there's pros and cons. If a person types in a question in a way that it's not trained to handle it, it'll probably kick back a response saying, "Did you mean this?" Right? Like when I go up to like AT&T's chatbot, oftentimes I'll ask questions and it'll come back with, "Did you mean 1, 2, or 3?" And then I'll click on the one that is the correct one, or I'll tell
Oh,
it
you're
this.
lucky. It's never one of those three that I'm calling.
Right. So you play this game of like, am I asking the chatbot in the correct way? And so that's part of it is when someone goes to use Amazon's system, they're gonna have to learn how to use it correctly, because even if you upload a document that gets parsed into rules, you still need to understand like, okay, what are the bad cases you need to account for? Now, if you ask a business or salesperson what those are, they're probably not going to think of it immediately. So this is someone that has to have gone through years of training to know, okay, for sales of this kind of thing, these are the kinds of things we have to look out for.
So again, this seems to be an application of an older technology, coupling it with the newer AI stuff, which hopefully we see more of, because there's plenty of experience and work that goes into some of those older techs, and they can provide some relevance. And then ultimately the solution is it's essentially a safeguard where it basically just doesn't allow the extreme examples or the extreme cases to fall through like they could.
Yep.
I think they use the phrase hallucination, but I might use something more like, this is like just an outright error. Like, you can't sell a car for $5. I'm not gonna prescribe a drug for a kid who's on the suicide hotline or whatever, right? There's always got to be some limitations, and sounds like they're using rule engines essentially and coupling that with AI.
Yeah, and to me, it's a good use just because most of the old rule people have retired. So all the old experts that have been around for 30 years, they're all retiring. And then most of the people that I know that worked in the rules world that had the skills to write a parser to convert from natural language to a rule language, those are very few, and most of them have left the industry. So even if you wanted to do the old way, it would be really tough to find someone. Like, there are very few. There's probably less than 20 people worldwide that are still working that have that experience.
Wow. Good. Well, it's fun to see some of this old stuff come back. I think we'll see more of it too over time. Peter, good discussion. You can follow us on Spotify, YouTube, ask us questions. We'll try to respond, and we'll be back next week with another topic. Take care, everybody.